Shalom. Apostle Tahar coming back at you once again, giving all praises to Yahweh B'Shem, Yahushua B'Shem, Kakodash. And I'm going to entitle this video, The New Moon and the Sabbath. What I did was, I put in new moon, new and moon, on the blue letter, and 20 scriptures came up. In well, it occurs 20 times in 10 verses. Now I might do that. I might go a couple of verses above and a couple of verses below, but I may just stay on the precept itself, because I really don't have to do that. But you can do that. You can go you always go a couple of, when you read a scripture to get a fuller understanding. Sometimes the scriptures say precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. But to get a deeper understanding, you may or may not go a couple of verses above or a couple of verses below, or you can even start at the first verse and read the whole chapter. But I'm just going to deal with these verses right here, with these precepts. Like if you go to the that site, it's the site that has the Apocrypha in it. And if you put a particular verse in there, they'll give you the verse, but then they'll give you the context. So they'll give you maybe 2 or 3 verses above that verse, and then a couple verses below that, and puts it all in context. Because sometimes when you read a chapter, chapters are broken up into context, thoughts. Anyway, let's go ahead and read it, and we'll speak about it. Now, I may go into the first month, the second month. I may use the word month, but I'm going to deal with new moon. And it's going to show you that the new, and this is based upon the situation with a couple of Trinidad camps. They're saying that we're going off, that the new moon, that the Passover should have been a couple of days later. It should have been on a Monday, and that's going into, to give you an example, that's going into like going into genealogy. That's another thing. This is similar to going into genealogy. The scriptures speak about endless genealogy, which gendereth strife. This also goes into when Yahushua had went to the wicked scribes and Pharisees, and he said they strain at a gnat and swallow a camel, if I'm saying it the way verbatim. And this always happens when individuals break off and do their own thing. They'll find something that we went off, or we did the research and you guys went off on that, and then you know what normally happens? The whole everything that we taught them, to start with one thing, then once we say, well, look, if you can't get it, you got to move on, you got to do your own thing. And I'm not even mad at these guys, just like Apostle Ramlab said, I'm not even mad. You can't get mad because it happened too many times. This is just the course of how the gospel works. You're gonna have some that's gonna go their separate ways. There's a whole chapter dedicated to that in the book of Jude, and we read that many times. So these guys came under us. Now, like I said, it may or may not happen, but it normally happens when they say, look, you're going off on this. The first time, I believe the first time it happened was with Patak. I forget what the controversy was, and he was the head of Chicago at that time, and he basically said that something about the missiles, that's not talking about missiles. It was so long. We're talking about, I don't know, 2010 maybe, 2011, something like that, maybe sooner. And basically the thing was, we're going off, and we got to change our doctrine because Patak went into the scriptures and found out what the scriptures really say. And he said, and I remember him saying, and he's not budging. And my response was, well, tell him he doesn't have to budge. He can just go and do his own thing. And ultimately he went and did his own thing. Then he was kind of back and forth. He was cool with certain brothers. The one brother, which is a young elder, Kazakh, originally from Mississippi. Originally from Chicago camp, now in Mississippi, and he can even speak on that. They basically said, well, look, we're not to talk to that guy, but they were cool. You're cool with people. You become friends. You become friendly with people. So this the young elder Kazakh ran into him and kind of saluted him, and I don't know if he hugged him or whatever, but it was like he had feeling for him because you become friends. You're around these guys. You have friendships with brothers. So when he did that, demons jumped on him, and he did a video on it, but he can bring it back up. If he's watching this video, he can bring that story up. And he said that he was all messed up, and that I forget all. He can go into it. Go into that, brother. Do it again. Go into the story, Patak, and all that. And I remember one thing he said, that when he would drink water, it tasted like gasoline. It had the texture and the taste of gasoline, so he couldn't drink water. And he felt that he knew that he had spirits on him. And he eventually wound up in the hospital. But he was praying to the Most High to ask for forgiveness, which what he did was he humbled himself. And he said there was a janitor or orderly that came in, and he was wearing a chain with a gold, in golden letters. It was Yahweh. So he looked at it and he said, "Oh, that says Yahweh." He said, "Yeah, that's what it says." Now, right then and there, you so happen to have a guy that's an orderly or a janitor or whatever. He's gonna come around your bed and have a nameplate with the name Yahweh on it. That was an angel, and that's in Hebrews 13:1. Forget not to entertain strangers, because some have entertained angels unawares. And we had those experiences, whether we actually saw angels or not. There was this one older gentleman that used to come out to the 34th Street camp, and he had a beard, white beard, fully white beard, and fully white afro, and he was dark. And it would be cold as hell, and he wouldn't be wearing no coat, and he wouldn't shiver or nothing like that. And we used to always say, well, that brother might be an angel. And he used to come out and he used to salute us. We haven't seen him, in years. But anyway, like I said, Gazak could do a video, going into it. And what happened was, when this guy Patak left, I believe he changed some more things. Well, y'all going off on this and y'all going off on that. But he was out there teaching, and eventually what happened was he basically fell off. Then I believe a year later he tried to come back, but he tried to come back through the Dallas camp, and I got wind to it, and I did one of them videos, and I lost it. I said motherfucker. I didn't say motherfucker, but I said, you ain't coming back, man. You out. And we went into the scriptures. If anybody has that video, they could bring it up. And I said, you ain't coming back through Dallas, GMS Dallas, man. I said, because they ain't the heads. And kind of Dallas kind of shook up, it shook up the whole congregation. But these things are going to happen. Like I said, you can read Jude, the whole chapter of Jude, which is one chapter long. It goes right into it. But I want to bring out this scripture here, which everybody knows this scripture. Everybody knows this scripture. And I want to read it verbatim. 1 John 2. And 19, they went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. But they went out that they might be manifest that they were not all of us. Like I said, don't be surprised if these brothers, the apostles went off on this, the apostles went off on that, the missiles, what other things they go into? Well, the missiles, that's another thing. Or you got guys saying that the earth is flat, that the Sabbath is based upon the seven day, based upon the calendar, which is Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, which is clearly off because there's no scripture on that. There's no scripture where it says go to some whatever captivity you're under, ask them for their calendar, and find out what the 7 day is and just follow that. That's not in this. That's not in the scriptures. If the Most High said, wanted us to worship it that way, which the so-called Jews do, then the Most High would have put it in the scriptures. And all of the, not all of them, but the majority of the high holy days in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, every high holy day, including the Sabbath, is based upon the new moon. The word month comes from the word moon. So Esau is clearly going off with his calendar. Oh, and another thing that they said on the video, that them brothers said there's only 28 days in a month. That's way off. There's 29 plus days. There's 29.53 days. So let me just read these scriptures. Let me just try to breeze through it. It says, 1 Samuel 20 verse 5. And David said unto Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon. Not the memorial of trumpets new moon, but the new moon. You have 12 new moons, and the memorial of blowing of the trumpet, that's to celebrate all the new moons. And that's when you start your new month meaning moon, and then from there, okay, this is the new moon, then you count up into the 7th day, then that's your Sabbath. Then you count another 7 days, you work 6 days, and then on the 7th is the Sabbath. So it's a cycle. Then the new moon comes again, and that's why when you look at the so-called Hebrew calendar, and you look at the lunar calendar, and you have it side by side with the Gregorian calendar, which this is the not the Julian calendar, this is the Gregorian calendar by Pope Gregory, which I believe he was a Jake. He had to redo the calendar because of the Julian calendar was all messed up. It was off by years. They had summer months and it'd be cold winter, and then winter months it would be summer. So that was off by years. So technically we don't even know what year we're in. All we can do is go by this calendar the year 2020. So if you compare the two, you're gonna, first of all, in the Gregorian calendar, you have certain months of 31 days. You have a leap year. You got 29 days in a leap year, and then you have 28 days for the rest of the 3 years. And then some months you have 30 days. So you have some months is 30 days, some months is 31, and then you get 29 for February. Then you get the leap year, which is 29 days. But then the rest of the 3 years, that's 28 days. So that's complete confusion. That's complete confusion. So what we got to do is we got to follow when the new moon comes in. Everything is based upon the new moon. If you go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, it will break that down to you. Now, let me read the scriptures. 1 Samuel 20, verse 5. And David said unto Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon. And then the next month after that will be another new moon. Then the next month after that will be another new moon. And I'm going to show you that anytime you have a new moon, it's a Sabbath. And I should not fail to sit with the king at meat. Because when was the meal ready? When was the feast ready? It was ready before the new moon. Just like the lamb at Passover was ready before the new moon came in. I'm sorry, the sun went down, which was the 14th day at evening. The 14th day at evening is what? The 15th day. It says, but let me go that I may hide myself in the field unto the 3rd day at evening. Unto the 3rd day at evening. So now, when the new moon came up, that was the first day, right? Then after that you had the 2nd day. Then after that you had the 3rd day. So what did David mean when he said that I may hide myself in the field unto the 3rd day at evening? The 3rd day at evening is going into the 4th day. So the 4th day, 5th, 6th, then the 7th day you got a Sabbath. So that's showing you that David didn't pull out 2 different calendars. Okay, we got the regular calendar and then we got the new moon. No, it was one calendar. It was one cycle, and it's based upon the new moon. So every month that goes by, it's a reset. That's why sometimes the Sabbath fall on a Wednesday, sometimes the Sabbath fall on a Thursday, sometimes the Sabbath fall on a Saturday, because you're putting it side by side with Esau's calendar, or the Gregorian calendar, and it's going to go off because you got 31 days, 30 days, 20, 29 days, 28 days. Complete confusion. So we got it right. It says, then don't be surprised if them guys say, oh, the mark of the beast is not a microchip. It said, then Jonathan, this is 1 Samuel 20, verse 18. Like I said, read these yourself and go a couple of verses above and a couple of verses below. It said, then Jonathan, which was the son of Saul the king, who loved David, and their spirits were knit together. Now you got Edomites saying, well, they were homosexuals. That's why this devil got to go. That's why he's going to be put in that pit of Obadiah 1:18, because he's the fucking devil. Now being a homosexual is a law against that. You got put to death. But then David is a man after the Most High's heart. That's why we know. Hey, Daniel 12:10. The wicked shall not understand. And that's why vocab can't get it. It said, then Jonathan said to David, tomorrow, and the reason why the Most High set it up that way with Jonathan and David, their spirits being knitted together, they were close, is because he had the inside of what his father was going to do, so he was able to go to David. So the Most High put the spirit on Jonathan to befriend David, to protect David from his father. That was the Most High working. The scriptures say, man's going is of the Lord. How can a man understand his own way? And we believe that Jonathan is back, but he's a part of the house of David. He was the son of Saul, but he's part of the house of David. So we'll find out in due time. It said tomorrow is the new moon, which is a Sabbath, and we're going to find out about that, because as you as I read these precepts, you're going to realize that when the Most High speaks about the Sabbath, he also speaks about the new moon in the same verse. It says, and thou shalt be missed, because thy seat will be empty. This is the 24th verse, 1 Samuel 20 verse 24. So David hid himself in the field, and when the new moon was come, the king sat him down to eat meat, because the new moon is a Sabbath. And the word Sabbath means rest. You don't work on that day. On the new moon, you do not work. On the Sabbath, you do not work. Why? Because they're resting days. They're holy days of rest. 2 Kings 4 verse 23. And he said, wherefore wilt thou go to him today? It is neither new moon nor Sabbath. And she said, it shall be well. Why was that said? New moon or Sabbath? Because the new moon is every new moon is a Sabbath, a holy day, a day of rest, a day where you do not do any work. And so is the Sabbath. Psalms 81 verse 3. Blow up the trumpet in a new moon. That means every new moon. Every month they blew the trumpet. Now during the time of the memorial blowing of the trumpets, that's to celebrate all the new moons. In the time appointed on your solemn feast days, blow up the trumpet in the new moon. The first new moon, the second new moon, which is a so-called month later, third new moon, the fourth new moon. It said, blow up the trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed on our solemn feast. So the new moon is a solemn feast. What's the proof of that? The proof of that is the first couple of scriptures I brought up. Really, the first one, it says 1 Samuel 20 verse 5. And David said unto Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat, because it was a feast. And in the kingdom, we're going to be actually having feast every month. Psalms 81 verse 3. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. That's talking about the memorial of the trumpet, memorial of blowing the trumpet, and it's talking about every moon that comes after that. And I'm reading this in a mindset of, I don't know the scriptures. I just put up the key. I'll just put up this word new moon, the two words new moon, just to see what it says. It's telling you right there. It's simple. It's simple. You know what? Let me do this. Give me a second. Bear with me for a minute. Okay, here it is. This is 1 Peter 2. First Peter 2 verse. This thing is acting up. Okay, it says, wherefore, first Peter 2 verse 1, wherefore laying aside all malice and all guile and hypocrisy and envies and all evil speakings, as newborn babes desiring the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby. That ye may grow thereby. Let me give you another precept. 1 Corinthians 3. I'll start at 1. And I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in Yahushua. So when all y'all came in, we had to give you the basics. Then as you grew, you started to get meat. So somewhere along the line, you never really got this. This was never for you. It says, I have fed you with milk. And then now you got to go back to Isaiah. And not with meat. For whereto ye were not able to bear it, neither yet now are ye able. For third verse, for ye are yet carnal. For whereas there is among you envying and strife. And that's where that come from. You've been a part of this thing. You watch the IUIC camps, you watch the videos, you watch the ISUPK, you watch this camp, that camp, and then something said GMS got the truth. But now all of a sudden we don't got the truth. And they're not going to say, if they say, well, they're going off on this and they're going off on that, they're going to focus on us. They're not going to say, oh, ISUPK is going off on this and IUIC, because there's that envy, strife, wickedness, evil against us. There was a bitter root put in you. And watch. Now I could be wrong, only time will tell. But watch them start to change the doctrine. Let's see if I'm right. Because that always happens. Oh, you went off on this, and now you went off on that, and this doesn't mean this. And oh, the tribes are the Latin tribe. There's no such thing as the Latin tribes. They're all black. It says the third verse, 1 Corinthians 3 verse 3. For ye are yet carnal, for whereas there is among you envyings and strife and divisions, are ye not carnal and walk as men? And do me a favor, you might as well throw away the sign. Or say all the tribes are Negroes. They're all Negroes. It said, for now, remember Yahweh ben Yahweh? Now, we encountered Yahweh ben Yahweh because they came to our school when I first came into truth. They were big at one time, and they actually used to come to the school, and they would tell us, well, y'all going off on this, and we tell them, no, you're going off on that, and this means that. Now, you know what Yahweh ben Yahweh, that group, used to teach? That if you was a West Indian, you was not an Israelite. If you was a Haitian, you were not an Israelite. If you was Puerto Rican, you were not an Israelite. You had to be. The Lord is only dealing with Judah, and Judah is the so-called black man down south, or the black man that was brought over, so-called black man that was brought over here enslaved. That's what they used to teach, and they didn't have a sign. They used to say the Lord is only dealing with Judah. He ain't dealing with Benjamin. He ain't dealing with, he's only dealing with Judah. So if you're Haitian or if you're West Indian, like I said, you're not of the tribes. And I asked them that because according to what my mother told me, I wasn't Judah. So basically they told me, well, you can't be a part of this. So what happened to them? It says, okay, so it says in the 4th verse, for while one saith, I am Paul and I am an Apollos, are ye not carnal? Who then is Paul and who is Apollos, but ministers by whom ye believe, even the Lord gave to every man? I have planted, Apollos watered, but the Most High gave the increase. So are we all supposed to work together? Exactly. Are we all supposed to teach the same thing? So somebody's wrong here. So now let's go back to this list here. I don't want to make this long, but it's getting kind of long, but that's all right. That's the spirit. Isaiah 66 verse 23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, not just the new moon of new moons, but it says, and it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another. Why would the Lord say new moon and Sabbath in the same verse? Because they're both high holy days. They're both Sabbaths. You do not work on a new moon, neither do you work on any other Sabbath. Isaiah 66 verse 23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another. Bear me for a minute. Let me try this. I just got another precept I want to get, and I'll come right back to this. Bear me for a minute. Bear me for a minute. Okay, here it is. I just got to bring it up. And this is the Apostle Paul speaking. This is the this is 2 Corinthians 11 verse 3. It says, but I fear lest by any means, as the serpent beguiled Eve through his subtlety, so your mind should be corrupted from the simplicity that is in the Messiah. This is a simple thing. That's why what I did was I just put in new moon, and I just went through the precepts, and it's telling you right there that well, let me read it again. Isaiah 66 verse 23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord. So every new moon you got to come and worship the Most High. You don't work on that day. You don't sell on that day. You don't buy on that day. You come to worship the Most High on the new moon and on the Sabbath. Why? Because they're both high holy days. They're both rest days. They're both Sabbaths. What does the word Sabbath mean? It just means rest. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do it. I was going to click on it, but Sabbath just means rest. You know, let me do it this way. Let me do it this way. Let me try it this way. See if there's any commentary on it. Okay, commentary. Nah, there's too much reading I gotta do. Let me do it this way. Let me go to Google. Let's see what Esau says. Sabbath, sabbaths, or sabbath is Judaism's day of rest and the seventh day of the week. On this day, religious Jews, it says 6 days, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so it's saying it's a day of rest, right? Now let me do new moon. Let me see what they say about new moon. New moon. Oh, it says new moon Sabbath. Let's see what that says. It says the new moon will link with Sabbath as a special class of holy days. Even Esau knows this, man. There were days of rejoicing and feasting, with even more sacrifice performed on new moon than were offered on the 7-day Sabbath, because every new moon was a feast. Like the 7-day Sabbath, the new moons were to be days of rest, with no buying or selling. Even Esau knows this, man. It's so easy, even a caveman could do it. So let's go back to Isaiah 66 verse 23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord. Why on the new moons and on the Sabbath? Because those are days, those are rest days. You don't work. You don't have your servants work, because everybody got to worship the Lord. So in the kingdom, are we going to be worshiping the new moons? You goddamn right. And the Sabbath, you goddamn right. Is Esau going to be worshiping the new moons and the Sabbath? You damn right. I mean, I can close it right here. I done made my point. I mean, these scriptures right here are crystal clear, man. Thus saith Yahweh the Most High, the gate of the inner court that looketh forward. This is Ezekiel 46 verse 1. That looketh toward the east shall be shut the 6 working days, but on the Sabbath it shall be open. Why? Because it's a holy day. And in the day of the new moon it shall be open. Not on the day of the memorial of blowing of the trumpet. It's talking about every new moon. Every new moon the gate shall be open to worship. Every Sabbath the gate shall be open to worship and rest. The other 6 days the gate shall be closed. Let me read that again. Ezekiel 46 verse 1. Thus saith Yahweh the Most High, the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east shall be shut the 6 working days. But on the Sabbath it shall be open, and in the day of the new moon it shall be open. 6th verse. And Ezekiel 46, you should read the whole chapter. And in the day of the new moon it shall be a young bullock without blemish, and 6 lambs and a ram. They shall be without blemish. Amos 8 verse 5 saying, when will the new moon be gone? That, and they could just say, well, what's they going to say it? They can just say the new moon or the Sabbath. What's they going to say it? Amos 8 verse 5 saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, that we may sell things? Because you don't sell on the Sabbath and on the new moon, because it's a Sabbath of rest. Sabbath meaning rest, a day to worship the Most High. And the Sabbath, that ye may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great. Meaning you put the wheat up there, and then you sell the wheat or whatever you're selling, and you put the balance on there, and the shekels knock the balance to the other side, because you're selling your thing is to sell everything that you have, to not be left over with nothing. And it says, and falsifying the balance by deceit. In other words, they'll put a balance there, and you think you're getting a pound, but you're only getting a half a pound. Anyway, that's all I got to say. I just brought the scriptures out. I went to the scriptures. I examined the scriptures. I didn't go super deep, but it's clear that the new moon and the Sabbath are both days of rest, days of worshiping the Most High. And also you ate, before the Sabbath, the next Sabbath came down, you prepared your meal before the sun went down, and you ate. But on the new moon, it was an actual feast. Every month there was a feast. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom, and on to the next one. Shalom.